the recording, and thanks so much for doing the minutes. Wanted to see if there's any public comment before we move to the agenda. I don't think so. So we're starting off the new year. Happy New Year, everybody, 2021, and we have a new county board liaison. And he's also new to the board, newly elected in November. So so welcome. We really appreciate you joining us. This is it's great that you could make time on your schedule to meet, even though it's virtually, to meet the commission. And we thought it'd be great for you to just give us your sense and how we'll work together in the coming year.
Thank you, Mary, and I'm really pleased to be with you. This is one of the priorities that I had for myself. I have to tell you that it's not that just the newbie got the this commission by in the
by default.
Or so. I actually sought that. This was among my priority assignments, and the chair, my colleagues were gracious enough to allow me to do this. And I'm coming here with, of course, with open mind and receptiveness. But the most important thing is I'm coming here with open doors, virtual doors. So you know where I live, and you can always reach out to me and tell me what you think should be addressed, how the board should be reacting to the many technology-related challenges. And if you have seen the board meeting yesterday, we had already like 2 or 3 items right there. And I have to tell you, I consider each and every of these items really of critical importance. And the board meetings before were not very different. So we have a lot of work. And I'm excited to be a partner and companion of the commission. I never forget that this is a commission that is supposed to advise the county board. So for me, one of the most important functions or jobs that I see for me having is to make sure that you get a good flow and reliable flow of information, of being included, and of hearing from your county board what we want to be advised on. So I would have liked to have ITAC's input. I believe my colleagues as well on the items we had yesterday, for example. So that is something I wouldn't like to see repeating, and etc. So that's one thing. The second thing is, we think a lot about our commissions, about how to open the Arlington way to even more Arlingtonians. I think that ITAC as well is a place where we can invite more public engagement, either directly as nominating commissioners, but also by socializing issues that you feel that need to be socialized with Arlingtonians. So I'm game for that. I'm ready for this, and I am really excited to sit down and listen.
Oh, wonderful. Good. Well, I think it'd be helpful probably just for us to go around the virtual room so you could just hear everyone's voice to say hello. John, you were the first one on. I'll let you take first, and then we'll go around the room so Takis can hear voice and put voice and face together. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Takis, good to see you. Takis and I know each other, full disclosure, so you might not recognize me with the beard, but this is my COVID beard. I'm an IT professional during the day, and I think, I'm glad to hear that you sought this out, because I think there's a lot of some items that we have been maybe trying to push up that we haven't really maybe gotten some feedback on recently, with all of the work that's been piled on your plates with COVID and the response. So, just looking forward to working with you over the next year.
Great, thanks, John. Jackie?
Sorry, I was on mute. Jackie Snelling. We're delighted to work with you, Takis, and In terms of my background, a smattering of just about everything. Retired from FEMA, preparedness and security and other things also related to IT communications, but mostly community background.
Great.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jackie. And Kevin?
Hi there. I guess if you're talking to me, Kevin Broadhurst from Comcast ITAC. Thank you for joining us. I do government affairs for Comcast in Maryland, Delaware, DC, Virginia, but particularly focus on Arlington, and glad to be here with you.
Okay. And Louise is our other telecom representative. Louise?
I'm Louise Anderson from Verizon. I'm the FiOS TV franchise manager for the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I've been working with ITAC for about over 7 years now. Welcome.
Thank you. And Kevin Robbins, who's part of our part of the commission. Kevin? Yep. I'm not hearing, so we'll loop back to you, Kevin. Martha?
Hi there. Congratulations on being on a very interesting commission. I've been on this commission for quite a while. I have a telecommunications background as well as appointments to many, many Arlington things. And that's about it. Enjoy your evening.
Thanks, Martha. Mike?
Hi there. I'm not on video because I'm in the low bandwidth.
We're having difficulty with your audio too, Mike. Can you up your, increase your volume a little? Let's try it one more time. Mike, we'll loop back to you. We'll go to Phil. Hi, Phil.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm looking for my picture. Is there some way to get it up on the array here?
The camera up on the upper right, that's right next to the microphone. If that has a slash through, if you push that, you're good. Should work. Unless you're blocking your camera for some reason, which you might be.
Your video's on.
Can you see me?
Nope.
Aha.
Your video's on, but it's all black.
And where is it again? One more time. Sorry to.
You're probably in the bottom row. That's where I see you.
So you see my name, but a black screen?
Yes.
Yeah, black screen. You're
It's
a black
probably
box,
blocked.
right?
I promise to work on that. Hello, Takas. Welcome.
And
I've
we
been
know
on this
you will,
commission
Phil.
longer than anybody. I look forward to working with you. I
I'm happy
particularly
to
appreciate your
we're not
interest.
the only
because,
ones who have problems with that. So
with all due respect, it hasn't always been that way with the board. So I'm very encouraged by what you just said.
Okay, and Kevin, thanks, Phil. Kevin, let's loop back to you now.
Can you hear me now?
Ken, we're good,
Yay.
Kevin. Good to go.
Success. Good. Thank you, Takas, for your introduction. Kevin Robbins. I'm a product of the county public school systems. I do federal contract work in telecommunications space, and I've been on the commission now for a minute myself. So I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
That's great. All right, and we'll loop back to Mike. Mike, have we got audio now?
Well, you're going to tell me.
Ooh. Yeah, Mike, we can't hear you. You may want to come out and come back in. Yeah. That's Takas, it's Mike Carlton. I'll just give you he was CIO for Yep, maybe better. Mike, you back? He was CIO for HHS, Arlington County resident, and GSA, so comes from the CIO perspective and a federal perspective, and is we'll see if we can get him back with a good audio soon. And I think the rest are from Jack from your shop. Do you want to would you like?
No, you missed me.
Oh, David, husband, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you on the list. Go for it. Thank you.
I have to say, this is the second time I'm attending these meetings, guys.
left off the meeting notes, even though I was there.
Well, we'll get that. We'll get that.
I'm David Husband.
I
I'm
added
an
you,
attorney,
David. You're
and
good.
thank you. I'm an attorney. I work for the Federal Reserve Board of Governors on cybersecurity, privacy, national security, open data, all sorts of stuff like that. And I'm delighted that you're here, that you're joining us virtually. And I'm loving that our former CIOs and IT leaders are struggling, and it's this Zoom thing. It's tough on everyone. So I'm really glad to see. You look like you're in an office, and I'm impressed with that. So glad to have you here.
I am actually in office. This is not a background. This
I looked at that. I was like, he's in his office. So that's great. But anyway, welcome, and we look forward to your participation.
It's the empty mothership of Arlington County government, which is because it's empty, it's a very safe space to be. It's safer than my home. I mean, I can tell you that.
And Frank, I know that you're there, Frank. Yep. There we go.
I am here. Yeah, there was a lag and let me get in there. I don't know, so I had to rejoin. I was just in limbo, but
welcome.
But anyhow, good to see you again, Takis, and I'm glad you could join our meeting this evening.
Great. All right. Have I missed anybody on the commission?
Mary, if I could.
Go ahead, Jack. I wanted you to.
We have Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Raj Sumali, on the call. Raj, you want to say hello?
Oh, good evening, everybody. Nice to be here. I'm Raj Sumali. Like Jack said, I represent the public schools. Excited to be here.
We've had such a great relationship, Takis, in the last few months. I think we're on speed dial with each other now and everything. So,
Frank, I think you're still not muted.
Yeah.
Right. There we go. There we go.
APS has been a fantastic partner, and we're working on a number of efforts, and Roger's here to talk about some of the things we're doing. And we've got our staff here, and who you've met many of them. The commission plays a key role with us. It's that citizen input. We get to hear what their thoughts are, and over the years, they've been fantastic. And I think when I first joined the commission, Tom Whipple, Mary Margaret Whipple's husband, was in charge, and he held me accountable and said, "This is what you got to do." So it's been that way since, and Frank and Mary and the commission have been just great partners with us. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good. And Jack, you have Holly will be speaking later, and David Hurley, who's from Holly Hartel. So that's your team. And
Richard Ashenbaugh is here as well.
Yes, Richard, you're here as well. Great.
Which is an evolving issue, which we really need the commission's guidance on as we start to move down this road. What does this mean, privacy and security? So.
Great. All right. Well, I'm assuming, Takis, that you'll take a few questions before you, if you want to depart after we move to Raj's presentation, feel free, but I'm sure Raj would welcome you staying as well, either way. So
I will stay as long as I can. I have a meeting a little bit later at 7. That's a housing meeting, and I have to jump into that. But other than that, if you want to ask me things, I am here. You can do that now, or you can do it anytime you want.
All right, wonderful. Well, we probably do have. I'll take chair privilege, and just there was in December, Frank and I received a notice about how the board was looking at how it organizes itself. And one of the things that particularly Mike, but the rest of the commission as well, had worked on in terms of the digital framework, adding an element to the strategic planning. So just wanted to see if there was in the handover from Christian to you, whether there was any discussion about that, or whether the board is looking at perhaps adding a digital element to the strategic planning framework, or where that stands.
Not yet, and actually, I didn't have this conversation with Christian yet. That's the accurate answer to your question, and I haven't seen any with my colleagues. We haven't touched upon that, and to date, also with staff, the interactions we had were very themed and very on topic, and we didn't really touch upon that. I find it very intriguing and very interesting. to go this way. I do believe that in all the challenges that we see this year, with all their ramifications, both technological as well as social and socioeconomic, etc., suggest that this is probably the right frame to approach them. It begins to be an additional layer to our planning and to the comp plan, to the comprehensive plan of Arlington County. And since you have mentioned that in the brief meeting we had, at my inauguration as your liaison, I went on and I just Googled it, and and I found several communities that actually do have and think this way and incorporate that as a sturdy layer in their comp plan. So I'm very open to the idea personally, and I'm also very open to evolve, develop, and socialize the idea with my colleagues, with and work with county staff and with you to see how far we can or should go.
Great, good.
The many questions that we had this month would have a easier answer if we had it as part of our comp plan. Questions like, what kind of infrastructure, where, how, when, etc. We should be lighting up the dark fiber, and what are the sectors that we will be giving, where we will giving priority, multifamily versus spread, universal access, things like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. So we will continue that. We'll continue that thread, that conversational thread, and we'll make sure that you have the benefit of the work that particularly Mike has done in terms of the framework that we had some thoughts around as you begin to think about how best to incorporate that, or what the best way is for a strategic plan to have a digital element. We'll make sure you receive that.
Yesterday we had a direct nexus between security events handling, like for example emergencies, or how we incorporate smart city type sensor technology, etc. These are all actually parts that normally with analog technologies we are part of our comprehensive plan. We basically have them there. So if we digitize them and apply a different type of a response network, then we'll have the appropriate layer for that.
Right. All right. Thank you. So I'll open up. And by the way, Phil, you're looking good. I'll open it up. So just a few more questions you might have for our enthusiastic county board liaison, I might add. Anyone? And if I'm not seeing your hand raised, just unmute. I know somebody's got a hand up. Let me see. I'm not seeing you in the gallery. John?
I'll jump in, Mary. Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Not so much of a question, but just further reinforcement of the topic that Mary raised. Mike, and since he's offline, I'll speak for him because I seconded the motion to send the letter, but actually identified a state statute requirement for us to develop this portion of our comprehensive plan. So I think that decision is actually going to be easy for you, and he laid it out really nicely in the letter that that we sent to the board, as well as the attached strategy briefing on some considerations. So
okay.
Great. Thanks. Thanks, John.
I have to go back to the letter. I have to find it. Okay.
No, it's all right. It's all right. There's a lot going on. Any other questions? I'm holding back one just in case. I've got several, but I'll just open it up to the floor. Any other questions or comments? While you're thinking, I do. One of the things we did talk briefly, but I just wanted the commission also to hear Frank and I had expressed concern about the equity issue, not only, and Raj, obviously you'll be talking about the digital equity in terms of schools, but also access to the vaccines in terms of people being able to register and do all those things. So we again, that's up on our radar screen in terms of how do we, so when we define digital equity in the county, we really, it's more than just, it's more, obviously schools are important, but it also, and it's an area that John raised, and we forwarded a concern around, because when John registered, it was all online and access and all those things. And I know that you all are thinking about it. I know Jack and his team is thinking about how to do that, but we just wanted to raise the flag on that, that we know that that is an issue, will continue to be an issue as this rollout of the vaccinations occurs. So we just want to highlight that and flag it.
I cannot be urging you enough to think on the potential solutions for that. So across the nation, we see, for example, the city of Dallas has implemented so-called registration hubs. So that was a mix of basically kiosk applications on laptops and essential workers, already vaccinated 1A essential workers going into the neighborhoods and taking, literally walking around, knocking doors, as in canvassing, and getting people names, because one of the biggest logistical problems here in our country, not only in our county, in our country, is that we don't have complete, comprehensive lists of eligible
citizens.
Citizens.
Right.
We don't have conduct. I mean, I was having a long argument with people saying, "Oh, why don't you do it like Israel?" And I tried to translate to him. It was a gentleman that Israel has actually a complete list, a unified medical record for every single citizen, Israeli citizen. And then they have also a complete list, because they have the emergency management list that they have for obvious reasons. So we don't have that, and we have to beg people. We still are calling medical offices or physician offices to give us the list of their actually eligible employees in these offices, the individual ones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a problem, and I ask you to really, if you have ideas, if you pick up signal, even some noise, just don't hesitate to push them to us. I'm more than receptive to this. The second big thing is the dissemination of appropriate information under the conditions of basically a denial of service attack right now on anything that looks like government, because we are like on the deck of something that's perceived like the Titanic. It isn't, but it is perceived like the Titanic, and everybody has only one question: when do I get my vaccine? And this question is now multiplying every day by 340 million Americans who expect a vaccine now, yesterday actually. So we see that across the globe. I've seen that in other places. I've seen brilliant solutions, technical solutions to that. One of the best that I've seen to date is actually response bots. So you basically send people to a Google-like website, and they write in their question, and Siri, or the equivalent of Siri, actually answers the question 90% correctly. We can deal with the 10% that will freak out because they get a bogus response. But this is a level of response that we have not. This is a very small county. It's logical that we don't scale to this, like that. But maybe the Commonwealth should, or somebody else who would help us with the same technology. I really don't know. I'm just in front of the problem of trying to push out messaging that fits in general, but also there is so many individual subsections and detailed information, etc. And it's very, very difficult to to service, to provide answers to that. I think it's also a technological problem, but it's a second rank problem. The first rank is what, as you mentioned, make sure that our registration systems, the appointment systems work well and that we get everybody into the digitized realm here. And if you hear good examples, have best practices, good ideas, implementable stuff, just knock our doors.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Any last question, and then Raj we'll move to you. Any other question for Takas? Thank you.
Hi, this is Denise.
Hi, Denise.
Hi, I'm
Good.
sorry.
No, it's great to have
getting
you.
out. Have you thought about reaching out to some of the faith-based churches related to some of the communities focus for digital equity? Because I feel like sometimes there are various, churches that they have different, communities of interest together. I know at my church there's a Black Pastors Council that meets, and maybe that could be an avenue for the dissemination of the vaccine.
Yes, the answer is yes. We have a complete vaccine committee, which is basically a carbon copy, old style technology, a copy paste version of the complete count committee. So all the social networks, the connection to the churches, the faith-based communities, to other social agents in the field are active and alive. We were very lucky, actually, to have gone through the census this past year, so that everybody who worked on that is still warm and connected, and we can use them right now. But I know for a fact that I have to expect that there will be a point. There is one stage of outreach that has to do with come and get vaccinated. You're eligible. It's free. You should be doing that. The second thing is, what do we do when we will have some significant uptick in vaccine hesitation, as I've seen that globally. Right now, the noise comes from people who have the connections, the technical expertise, the ability to navigate any given system. This is really the top class, your top class customers. They're really empowered and they can do that. There will be a moment when we will have enough vaccine, but then we will see, we'll begin to have measurable hesitation to take that, where we will have to educate people, or deliver them from a lot of wrong information that they're getting right now, from that they're getting microchips injected, to that it is a genetically modifying medication, and you name it. So all this will be happening sooner than we anticipate. It's like the famous etching in your in the car mirrors, where it says real objects are actually closer than you see them on the mirror. So yeah.
Exactly. Martha, you have a final
Yeah.
question, and then we'll move to
I
the next
just
item.
wanted to ask Takas, if you want us to send you our good ideas, should we go county board at county board, or
No,
your individual?
my personal, and Mary has that. My name is the first T Carantoni. So T as in Tango, and Carantoni is my last name, at arlingtonva.us.
Okay, thank you.
Regular standard issue.
Great, thanks, Martha, and thanks. And now, Raj, it's not your first rodeo with Tech Commission, so we're so glad to have you back. And we know that you and Jack have been doing, all your staffs have been doing miracles, really, to do what you've been able to do in the amount of time you've had. So we're really looking forward to hearing what's been happening and what some of the hurdles are. But before we're so glad that Takas, you could be with us, and delighted you're going to stay. This is a wonderful start to the year, and I think a really good partnership. So thanks so much for being available so quickly and jumping into the deep end. So Takas, thank you, and I think you'll be interested to hear what Raj has to say. So Raj, I'll hand it over to you.
Good evening, everybody. Again, as I said, this is my the last 3 months. I think this is my second opportunity to come back here and talk about it because of the timing and the need to talk about connectivity for students. What I did was I pasted, I kind of put it in the chat, the URL for the Arlington Public Schools internet support website, because we still continue to provide those 4 different prongs of approach support for students. We actually are talking about, historically, we talked about providing Comcast sponsorship for families that qualify, thanks to the county's help for that one, and also the partnership with Comcast. We continue to do support that. We, at this point of time, have about 925 students actively using that particular program on a day-to-day basis. So obviously that's there. Then we actually continue to provide MiFis, because Comcast still has a challenge, because if there's multi-dwelling units or families sharing a home, and we still have some kind of needs to support students, and we continue to provide MiFis, or kind of mobile wireless solutions for students. We actually have another 1,200 students taking advantage of the MiFi solutions we rolled out. And not to mention the hotspots that we've collaborated with the county and actually ensured that students will be able to latch onto them for kind of not for the general 1 hour period and get disconnected, but continuously to be able to use them without interruption, as long as they're using APS devices. We kind of worked out and engineered the solutions with the county as well. So we continue to do all of that. But what we are more excited about is to actually do the most recent one, which is a pilot. I will let Jack explain this exciting thing, because it's his kind of baby, because he went to the state and actually got some of the funds for us to be able to do this pilot. We're calling it Connect 123. We're using obviously we're leveraging the unlicensed share spectrum of the mid 5G bandwidth, we're calling that, which is called the Citizens Band Radio Service, which is basically what we are piloting. I will not steal thunder from Jack, but I'm going to stop here, and if you could take a minute to explain this project to the committee, together we can talk about the pilot.
Thank you so much, Raj. I've got Laura Slavin here. Laura's really been the key driver for this. Laura, do you want to take it from here?
Good evening, everyone. Absolutely. If you don't mind, I'd like to try to see if I can share my screen so I can bring up a map. Oh, and where is my map? So I apologize. I don't have the map that I wanted to share, but I'm going to share another map with you that I have on hand. Can you all see that?
Yep. Okay,
perfect. So as Raj mentioned, there were multiple different approaches to extending broadband services to students during this pandemic in order to facilitate online learning. And one of those efforts was what we call 123 Connect Me. And what 123 Connect Me is, it's really the county's first private LTE network using the CBRS band. And so it's meant to extend broadband services to Arlington Public School students. The way we were able to do this is back in November, we applied for a governor's fast track grant, and we received that grant. And within the money that we received, we were able to set up 5 nodes along Columbia Pike. That's approximately 1.3 miles of coverage, and it spans from South Greenbrier to South Monroe Street. What this allowed us to do is it allowed us to extend broadband services within the students' homes in a very expedited manner. And manner that allowed us to use the grants, so within the grant funding. So while what we're doing is we set this up on December 23rd. The grant required us to get this set up by December 25th. We've already done extensive testing with our IT team and with our partners doing IVMV, and the system looks extremely promising. So we're continuing to kind of tweak this network. What you see here is the projected coverage. This is not the actual coverage as of today, so we're working on getting a actual coverage map. So that's why we're doing extensive testing. The next step is really we're working with Arlington Public Schools to get teachers and teachers' aides and eventually students to do that end user testing, so we can get real knowledge of what this system looks like from their perspective and make sure that they're able to do their virtual learning properly. So as Raj mentioned, this is a pilot that's been set up specifically for student use. But while this has been set up for student use, this also really lays the groundwork for a lot more. As you know, we have an extensive dark fiber network, which is the physical infrastructure, and this allows us to start having a wireless network. So there's multiple different opportunities within that network. And I don't know if Jack, you want to add anything else to that?
No, I think it's exciting technology. We were talking to the chief architect of Google. His name is Preston Marshall, and he was telling us that this is as significant to Google as the internet and the cloud were. Think about that a second. That's how significant they think this is. And it allows us to extend wireless connectivity really without wiring. And so we're very excited about it. But the truth is, as Raj would say, what we need to make sure is that it really does do what it's advertised to do. Does it really enhance the virtual learning? And both Raj and I are working as close as we can with the teachers and the students to see if this will work. But this has great impact, not only for providing broadband connectivity to homes, residents, but also it has immense opportunity for the county in terms of saving money, in terms of how it might do voice communications. So we're very excited about this. And as you know, our neighbors at National Landing, JBG Smith, invested $25 million to get 7 bands of this broadband access. The architect at Google calls it something interesting. He calls it the People's Band. He said this is going to really revolutionize how we're extending broadband connectivity. So we're very excited about it. But again, it's got to work. So we're working closely with Raj and his team, and we've got the equipment we can get out into the field. We just want to make sure that we can validate it does what it's expected to do. Thank you, Laura. Thanks, Raj.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much. So, Raj, are there hurdles that you and Jack see as, I mean, obviously testing, it's got to work, but are there other things that you're seeing that are really challenging ahead in the road as we look like we're going to stay online for quite a while with school?
Yeah, I think let me go back actually. I think Martha, Mary, the first thing that we've actually seen was providing access, some part of connectivity to students, right? I mean, that is what we were in March when we actually said we needed to turn this on overnight, and then we were gone, kind of lights out, and we wanted to support it. So we actually went through the rush. We did actually have a head start with respect to devices, and we were able to build on that partially. MiFis were already in play, and thanks to Kevin and Comcast, we were able to expedite Comcast plans. We still today, as of yesterday, when we look at the data, we see that 99.3% of our students are successfully connecting to Teams on a regular basis, but there's still that 0.7 where are we actually missing them? And we also looked into each case by case basis. We've developed a portal for each school to actually look at all of their student population and actually see how much time are they actually actively engaged on the different platforms that we set them out for support for instructional exercises. Canvas is the learning management system. The device is the other one. How long are they spending, and what are they really spending on an aggregate level, not at an individual level, so that we can understand. But the schools need to look at individual students to understand what, if there are situations that they have to follow up. So obviously, there's still a small pocket. We need to understand that. The second thing we're also seeing is they are able to join, but they're not able to join for long periods of time. Is that because of the kind of connection that they actually have? Now, that is really the second thing that is coming into play. And we are starting to ask those questions and try to not just give them a basic connection, to supplement them with kind of plan Bs. That's the second one. The third big issue, which I feel like we were experiencing in the last 2 weeks, is to say the people now, because it's actually the length of the situation, is calling for alternate kind of plans, because they're actually kind of some sort of the kids are being left with grandparents or some sort of caretakers, because the parents have to go back to work, and now everybody's kind of doing that kind of a transition. We're starting to see that there's expectation to support them outside the current location buildings, then in different kind of places. Now
Got it.
see a challenge with that. We're trying to understand what does that mean and how can we support that. So that's the transitional change and challenges we are seeing. But coming back to the project that Jack actually talked about, the CBRS one, the 1 2 3 Connect Me one, our goal is at the end of the day to ensure that the students don't have to leave the safety and security of their homes, and actually are able to connect to the systems, and are able to really take advantage of complete instructional exercises without the bandwidth or the capacity being a problem. That is really the focus. So we're trying to focus on the fact that we want to do these tests inside the buildings with kind of variations of the styles of architecture we're talking about. So those are some challenges that are actually in front of us, obviously, which Jack and our teams are working through. Just want to put them out there.
Yeah, one thing that's happening too, we added, which is unusual for a technology project, we've engaged a behavioral consultancy, a company called Lift Innovate out of California. And what they do is they deal with Fortune 500 companies in terms of technology adoption. And what they're doing with us is they're looking at how we're extending this. So you can put a technology in the hand of some kids and you can talk to the kids. But as Rogers pointed out, it's the home itself. How do we make sure that the parents understand what the child needs to do to prepare for a learning lesson? And I think that's so fascinating. And what Lift Innovate is doing is they're developing, like for a better term, PSAs that actually have avatars. They have an avatar of the superintendent, which I think is wonderful. I know he must be pleased. He looks thinner and yes, black hair. But what they're doing is they actually introduce this, they're developing, want to release this shortly to the parents to say, this is what you need to think about when you go to work. And they're working and they're leaving the kids to, fend for themselves. And what they're saying is, you got to make sure you've had something to eat. You got to sit down, shut down the radio, listen to what the professor has. And what they do, and Laura certainly and Raj can speak more to this than I can, but they have these avatars that come in and say, hi, I'm your principal, and or I'm your teacher, and this is what you need to consider, and this is how long you need to study, and you need to take a break. When we have a break, go get something to eat and come back. And as Roger said, it's we don't want to grade. He doesn't want to grade kids because of their internet connection. We want to grade kids in terms of they have an equal way to get access. I don't know, Roger, you want to talk a little bit about that, or Laura?
No, I think that the biggest takeaway we wanted to do was like I was talking to Jack, and I also brought this back to this committee at one point. The thing that really hit me was when somebody said we are grading in this kind of an environment students based on the type of connectivity they have, but not their understanding, because of the opportunity that they're able to do so many more things with a better connectivity than not, actually. So obviously that is what we want to take that out of the equation, provide a very high quality service for all students. Obviously that is the challenge. The thing that Jack was talking about, Lyft is actually helping us with two messages. The message one is to tell the families the importance, because not every family understands that just sitting and front of the laptop, the student is actually really engaged or not, or like what type of challenges they actually are facing, particularly with families that are challenged with both parents having to work and not understanding the importance. So obviously there is the message about why is it important to have a nice and then a good quality connection to be able to do to have effective instruction. I think that is a message. And then we're also talking about how this will help you and what are the various things we have on hand to help you with that particular challenge. So we're trying to go with that message to all families.
Great. Right. Well, Laura, Raj, and Jack, we're just, I mean, obviously there's some silver lining in a crisis if we can get everybody having access to high-speed internet. That would be a good thing for the county to be able to say that we've done. Any other questions for Raj and Jack and Laura?
Yeah, Mary, I've got one, and it's this, Raj, has there been any kind of survey of what kind of equipment the kids have at home? PCs, memory, other capabilities, what kind of monitor they have? Do they have a printer?
We're doing it in two phases, actually, Mr. Phil. I think let me explain this to you, because I think number one, we are actually providing a device to 100% of our students, like all the way from pre-K to 12. I think all the high school kids are getting a MacBook Air, and middle school students are getting an iPad with actually a keypad case so that they can actually even use it for kind of documents and creation of those kind of things as well. But pre-K to 5 have an iPad. So obviously a device is provided, but we do want to know more because the state is also asking us that we want to track what type of connectivity do you have? Do you have a high quality, or what type of, they want to quantify and qualify the type of connection they actually have as well. So as part of our exercise, we are trying to use Your Voice Matters survey, which we annually share with all of the students, and we also use it for kind of feedback for families and staff. I think we are trying to work that process in to collect that information as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raj. John, you had a question?
Yeah, more requests for additional information. Didn't see anything on either the county or the school's website on this pilot. So if you could share any publicly available information or reference architecture on the technologies in play here, so we could look into it a little bit more and advise the county board on what might be relevant for this, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, we certainly can do that. Laura can provide that information.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, we haven't publicly released any information yet because we haven't had that final end user testing. But we will certainly be doing so very shortly.
Thank you. And then Mike had a question. To what extent are the end user devices distributed for schooling available for other citizen services?
Well, we're prohibited from, we're doing this pilot because the state said we could provide broadband internet access to students. And we're prohibited by the state from offering it to others. Saying that, we'd love to do that. We see some great opportunities with affordable housing from the county's perspective. Telehealth, to be able to reach, we've been talking to the free clinic at length about being able to extend, that telehealth capabilities to those people who can't get access to medical care. So to be honest with you, I keep hoping that we're going to see more and more breakthroughs on that front. And so look forward to the commission making sure we get some some traction at the state level and federal level.
Okay. All right. Well, this is, I mean, Raj, it sounds like, although it's been a wild ride, it sounds like you and your teams have really done, from the county and the school perspective, have really done an incredible job. Truly.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. I want to take this opportunity to thank Jack and his team. Obviously, I think we talk every Tuesday morning and Thursday morning. We actually have standing meetings on a bi-weekly basis. To me, this is such an amazing story, actually, of collaboration between the schools and the county, I have to be honest with you, because what we have been able to scale up was because of the support from Jack's team as well. So we truly appreciate the support and your support as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Raj.
And thanks so much for coming back, Raj. You promised you would, and you did. So we appreciate the follow up and really the good news. Now we'll be watching for the pilot results. So good luck,
Sure.
and that's really good.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. You take care. And Laura, thank you for presenting and showing us the visual. That was helpful.
My pleasure.
And feel free to share the one that you wanted to with Angela, so we can see it. We
I
can
will.
see
It was a more simplified one.
Okay. Well, no, that was great. What we saw, that was wonderful. And Martha, did you have a question, or was it from before? Oh, Kevin, you have a question. Sorry, I
Well, yeah,
didn't see.
you kind of addressed it. It's about the technology, and if you're not ready to release the information, I understand. I know the Pike pretty well, and it looks like for those 5 antennas is a big coverage area, but I'll wait patiently till there's more information. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Just a vignette, and of course it changes. It's spotty based upon the building, where you are, but you were covering 1.3 miles from South Monroe Street to South Greenbrier Street, and we're providing wireless connectivity. Think about that a second. That's 1.3 miles. You probably get 100 feet in your house, and we're getting that type of Wi-Fi connectivity. We've had tests. Rogers people have been in the field. My people. We're experiencing at the apex of this curve, 40 megabits down, 25 up. That's significant, and of course that'll even get better. And all we're doing is we're putting up 5 towers. As you probably heard at the board meeting, there's a proposal to do the same technology at the gates of Boston. They're proposing putting in 13 towers to cover an area about a quarter of the size of what we're covering on through the Columbia Pike. And the reason for that is it was a prototype. People doubted this could be done. There's an alliance. If you get a chance, go look at the CBRS Alliance. And they have all kinds of videos and what out there. And they will show, they talk at length about what the possibilities are. And that's where you'll find Google and others. This is exploding at such a pace that it's amazing. The whole bandwidth was made available in 2010. And the thought was this would take years and years to develop. It's been an amazing acceleration. And by the end of 2000, and I believe 21, every cell phone maker has agreed that they're going to include this chipset in every phone they put out. That is significant. So take a look at that.
Okay. Thanks, Jack. And Martha, was that an old hand raise or a new one? Did you have a question?
That was an old one. No question.
Okay, great. Thanks. Just checking. Did someone else have one last question for Raj?
It's Jonathan here. I'm sorry I don't have my hand up because I'm moving, but question about, and I missed a little bit here, but about the towers. You said you're putting up 13 towers. Sort of how tall are those, and who's paying for them is the question. I wonder if they can be used for multiple purposes, and maybe we could attract some private capital to pay for them.
Yep.
If there could be other uses for them.
Yeah, there was a feasibility study that was presented to the board on yesterday, and the proposal is just that. Here's how much it's going to cost, and yeah, the devil is in who's going to pay for them. But what you're talking about, they're the size of probably a pizza box, right? And they strap to our poles, and they can strap to the top of the building, and it's a clean signal, Jonathan. It's that, as you know, I'm sure you're well aware of it, and it has amazing applicability for other things that the county may want to do. Everything from performance parking, curb management. And we talked earlier, our friends at JBG Smith invested $25 million in to get a layer of that connectivity. And as you know, they didn't just do this because they had $25 worth of money they were going to put on the table. They had some ideas of what they could do with it. So you're right. It's amazing benefit. I don't think Takis has met Jonathan. Mary, do you want to introduce him?
Right, sure. Jonathan, go ahead and introduce yourself. We have a new county board liaison who volunteered to take us as tech commission, actually lobbied to have us as in his portfolio. So Jonathan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, I'm honored. Yeah, Jonathan Adelstein. I'm the CEO of the Wireless Infrastructure Association that's I live in Arlington. We're headquartered. We're a national organization in Washington, and we represent the companies that make and supply that kind of equipment that Jack's talking about. So, you know, I'm in the wireless industry, former federal official for 25 years on Capitol Hill, and commissioner of the FCC, and later I ran the Rural Utility Service. And we're far from rural here, but it's got some good applicability. So happy to introduce myself, and thank you for seeking us out.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you, even if it's completely virtual and via telephone line, which I guess soon will be all under CBRS, and it will you will snap your fingers and a hologram will appear, right? Okay.
Takis, in my case, you need a hologram.
Well, Raj, we really just thank you, and thanks for coming back, and we will definitely keep we'll keep watching, and if there's other things that you want to raise to us as well, please feel free to reach out. But it sounds like you've really made a huge difference.
Thank you, ma'am. Everybody have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. You take
Thanks,
care.
Raj.
Bye-bye. Thanks. All right. Well, Holly, over to you, giving us an update. This is just the night for updates on pilots. This is
And for
welcome.
once, I'm not talking about digital equity, but it's great to hear everybody else having the conversation and being supportive of the efforts. So thank you very much, Mary. This is kind of a last minute request as I'm going through the process. If you guys remember, I came in back in early, I guess late fall, to talk to you about this effort. And just a couple of things that I walked away with, just kind of high level, were what we had spoken about was making sure that we were having enough communication to the impacted stakeholders, interested in a little bit more about the project details and some of the outcomes, make sure that we have enough consideration for data privacy, and understanding a little bit more about the location and then potential for future expansion. So so those things were what I walked away from the last time we spoke. What I want to share with you guys was what I had presented to the board last night. So I'm going to bring up my screen. All right, make sure I do this.
We'll let you know when we see it.
Yeah, hold on. I'm not seeing it there. Wait, is that it? That's it. Okay.
Thanks again, Takis. We really appreciate you making time to come out. So you take care. Have fun in your next meeting.
Yes. Takis has already heard this. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm going to go through what I'd gone through with the board last evening. The request and the purpose of our presentation last evening was for the board to accept the donation of goods and services that would allow us to continue on with the pilot. So first in framing of it, imagine you're walking down a road and you're with a group of people. All of a sudden you see there's movement. Is it because there's a sports win, or is it something else that we should be concerned about? Or you're by yourself and it's late at night and no one else is around, and maybe you trip and fall because you're looking at your phone flies away from you and you have no way of getting in touch with somebody. How do you reach out, or who can help you? Who would know that something is amiss? Or suppose a fire alarm goes off. Fire alarms go off, and sometimes there's a fire and sometimes there's not. It's either a different emergency or a different reason. How do you know what kind of situation that you're walking into? So we're looking at, the question being asked at a high level is, how does technology assist with the deployment of public safety resources? So as we're talking about what we're doing, we had an opportunity to look at a pilot this summer, and really going through some refinement and discussions, ended up talking with public safety around what were their needs, what were the things that they were looking to try to achieve. In working with them, there were 3 primary areas that they wanted to focus on. So it was crowd safety, public health, and public safety. So from the crowd safety, making sure that pedestrians are moving around safely, and being aware of when something was odd that didn't fit in with what was supposed to be happening. Or from a public health perspective, knowing that something happened and being able to respond with the appropriate resources. Or from a public safety and from a fire perspective, potentially, knowing what type of environmental event was occurring. And once again, not necessarily improving response times potentially, but knowing, hey, there is a fire, or maybe there's not a fire, and it could be a different type of emergency that we're walking into. What I also realized that this is going to allow us to do is really kind of think about, what are the near and long-term, opportunities for the county that we want to consider leveraging this, but we need to dig in a little bit deeper and understand. We really are focusing on, we have processes, we have services that we're providing today. How do we make sure that this technology is focused on complementing and improving those services? And then thinking about what other applications this type of technology can have. So when we walk down from all right, what is technology? What are the kind of the high level ideas of where public safety wants us to focus? We were aligning use cases to support those. So our use cases are people counting, fall detection, sound detection, and environmental shifts. So we worked with public safety to identify those 4. And we will be specifically focusing on those for this pilot. Right now, we're looking at some things that there's so many things that we need to learn going through this, from understanding the implementation of the technology to looking at the data to refining what information we're getting. So starting small and in a relatively low risk area of focus, I think was the right way for us to go. So what does it look like? What's the user experience going to be? Most people are going to walk under a light and nothing is going to happen. There's going to be nothing different that's occurring on the everyday that they're doing. But as we've identified the use cases, these sensors will be, looking to be alerted when one of these situations we've defined has happened. At that point, there will be information that will be captured that will flow through a network and then ultimately end up on a dashboard that will be in the 911 center. So it will be available to those people who are taking 911 calls for the ability to understand, well, is there something that we need to do? How does this incorporate into other information? Should we be sending somebody to respond? And what information can I give the first responders to better be prepared to walk into a situation? I want to highlight, because this gets everyone very nervous, said the only thing that we are capturing is text-only data around the use cases that we've identified. So there are no images that are retained. It is something that is, I keep trying to make sure that everyone is aware of as we're walking through. Everything is anonymous. There is no way that you will be able to identify any aspect of other than there's a human form. And that is the capture at a text level. So where is the project going to take place? It is occurring on the 2900 block of Wilson Boulevard. There are a number of light fixtures that exist that are county owned. It was selected because those are actually light fixtures that we, oops, sorry, I was trying to get the admin in. Those are light fixtures that we own. But we were also looking for an area that had a high density of traffic during, a significant portion of the day, as well as into the evening. We are not looking to be in an area that is more of a neighborhood setting, because we need the the data that could potentially generate the use cases. Also the building structures, because it is more of an urban dense environment, that's helpful to understand how the signal works and how it's communicated. And then the other piece that I think is important to state is it's also where Comcast had their infrastructure. So being able to work with, and I'll talk a little bit more about our partners, Comcast too, was helpful. The project is going to be 12 months. It's divided up into 3 phases. The first phase is for us to kind of refine the use cases, but also to have the light fixtures installed, and then for us to test out what we expect to happen based on these use cases. From there, we have a learning phase. This will last for about 6 months, where we hope to capture data that will help inform us. Is this helpful? Is this making an impact on those areas that we identified earlier? And then our final phase will be an assessment phase. As part of the assessment, it will be our responsibility of the county to make the recommendation to the county manager where other areas of applicability could be, what potential scale and cost could include, and what other potential considerations we might want to think about from the county perspective to include. And I said this earlier, but just want to go back to, I think it's important to be honest with where we are. I mean, you're hearing these terms, but said this is the first opportunity for us to really, apply them to our existing services. I think, and this is why, there are elected officials and I am not one. I think Katie Crystal said it very eloquently last night, and I will probably not say it as eloquently, but the reality is that there is a technology aspect that's being integrated into everything we do. The same reason that you all were talking earlier about making sure that there is an element of the comprehensive plan. Let's go forward with this kind of in control and better informed as we move forward. So as we're also talking about this, we have a number of partners that we're working with. All of them play a critical role in what we're doing. All of them also offer a different eye and lens on the project around their area of expertise, but also around the area of data privacy and security. So US Ignite, they are a nonprofit entity that work with a number of different partners, community partners, and their role is to help promote smart community opportunities and make sure that it's being driven by a community need, not necessarily by a technology need. They will be working with us, and they will be serve as the project managers on this effort. Because of their experience and their background and depth of other communities, they have a wealth of knowledge of the data privacy and security. They also, before even US Ignite, the background and the experience of the individuals that are coming to the table supporting us is quite impressive. We've also partnered with a Commonwealth Cyber Initiative, CCI. So that's a Governor Northam funded university partnership. So all the public universities in the state of Virginia are working together as a consortium. And what will happen is we have a proposal that we will work with CCI to find professors who are interested in assisting us through this effort. There are 2 different phases that they will be involved in. The first phase will be on the initial planning and assessment. And then as we're going through, they will stay with us and continue to make sure that we are following the data privacy guardrails that we have set up, but also providing recommendations as we're going through the process. Comcast has a significant role in the light fixtures and the network infrastructure, but also they have a data privacy and security. It is their hardware, but they also have an interest in making sure that the technology that they're promoting is something that is not going to be at risk of people as they're moving forward in adoption. our role is related to not only the fixture installation, but the creation of the data dashboards themselves and making sure they are incorporated into the processes. So making sure that if there is an alert, what does it look like and what does it mean and what is the expectation of how that response is altered? And then also considering what the gathering of data and information of how successful is this. It is ultimately our responsibility to make the recommendation of what is moving forward, but we also play a significant role related to data privacy and security guidance. We already have a set of very strong data privacy principles, and we're working through the privacy policy. This will help inform as we're moving forward with that effort as well. So talked a lot in the last couple of slides about data privacy. As we started this project, we worked on a set of principles that would help inform us as we were moving through. The first one is, I mentioned the 4 use cases. We will be very focused on data related only to those use cases. So we're not going to be capturing the text data about anything else that is not specifically related to the use cases that we've defined. What we're doing, and if hopefully you've gotten a sense as we walk through, we're doing something, it's called privacy by design. Basically, we're integrating the aspects of privacy from the very beginning and considering how that's going to impact what we will be doing. So one of the examples is that there's no image data that's retained and that everything is text only. We will also make sure, this is one of the items that had been brought up last time related to community engagement. We are working right now with our comms person to create not only a website, a project website, but also an additional FAQ document that will allow people to understand and be better versed of what it is we're doing and what we're not doing in a little more detail than what I have here. It's also, we will have an opportunity for people to, hey, I'm interested, so to be able to keep informed. The plan is, now that's been approved by the board, is to kind of take this on a little roadshow. The same conversation that I'm having here will be happening with the civic associations that are in close proximity to the area, as well as with Clarendon Alliance. The initial conversations with Lion Village, two members from Lion Village and the Clarendon Courthouse Civic Association, as well as Clarendon Alliance, were both very positive and supportive of the effort of what we're doing. What we're not doing is diverging from what we said we were going to do. We're also, so once again, we're not recording and retaining any images. If we do make any changes, I talked about the use cases, but as we dig into what the use cases are, maybe things are going to come up that are going to question, maybe we should consider something slightly different. What we are setting up is a data privacy oversight panel specific to this effort. So I should probably call it the Safety and Innovation Zone Data Privacy Oversight Panel that will provide guidance for this effort. The thought that the individuals that I had mentioned who represent the organizations on the previous page will be representative. I think there's a consideration for making sure that there is somebody from ITAC who is part of the panel, as well as with the internal county staff. And that panel will meet on a periodic basis to make sure they're reviewing where we are and provide guidance. The other thing we had talked about last time when we met, I had mentioned, I think we were doing a privacy impact assessment. I think the question was raised, would we be sharing that privacy impact assessment? And I've gotten clarity, and we will be sharing that privacy impact assessment, but also making sure that the data privacy oversight panel reviews and provides input. The privacy impact assessment, there is an initial one, but we will commit to reviewing it and ensuring that it's additional ideas or thoughts as we promote or progress through the project are included and shared. And then on the give up the management of the different data types. That's something that the county will maintain ownership for. But so once again, if something comes up, that needs to go through the Safety and Innovation Zone Data Privacy Oversight Panel. I had mentioned very quickly, I think before, this is a great opportunity for us because in a very tight budget time, there is an interest in, the donation of goods and services. Our financial impact outside of the existing resources that we'll be working on this effort is minimal. So it's really for the installation and the removal of the lights at the end of the pilot. Everything else is being donated to us. And so I think the learning that we are going to achieve through this effort, to me, is a significant value that cannot weigh that financially, but I think it will be very helpful as we're moving forward. I spoke a little bit before about the engagement. I think that's an important piece of this as we are moving forward. So this isn't informed because it's an internal assessment, but it does not absolutely mean that we are cutting off communication and a chance to discuss what we are doing. So that we have the project site, and then the end of the project, so we will be providing the assessment to the county manager for the decision of, well, what happens after this. I want to leave you with just going back to the data privacy aspect again. The data will be restricted based on the use cases. Anything we are doing is completely anonymous. There are no images or methods of identifying any individual that will ever be recorded or stored by a third party. And then the pilot will absolutely be following the county's data privacy principles.
Holly, you might guess you have generated questions. So let me go through one. And then I think David had a question, and I think Phil had a question. So since I'm going to read it right from chat so you can hear it. The best practice from past municipal government digital tech deployment strongly supports clarity about government policy and performance objectives before installation of surveillance devices. Do the stated speculative benefits that you all have looked at outweigh the risk, and who owns and controls the data collected? And might we train this level of digital transformation on the current functions of local government ahead of experimenting with new commercial interests? So first question was, do the stated speculative benefits outweigh the risks given what you know now?
I strongly feel that they do, but this is also why we are taking this pilot in a small scale to ensure that we are not either addressing areas that potentially provide more opportunity for risk, or in areas that provide more opportunity for risk. One of the things that I mentioned last night, I did not mention today. I think it's also important to mention. I know there's an awareness and a concern of, are you responding differently, from the equity lens? And I think one of the things and the benefit that is significant in doing something like this is you're providing additional data and information to first responders, removing any opportunity for any potential equity bias.
Mm-hmm.
And who owns and controls the data collected? We realize it's anonymous, but who in the agreement, who owns and controls that?
The county.
Yeah, I think if I could, this is Jack. I think that this is significant because this is truly a public-private partnership where we're relying. There's always this thought that government can do everything. It can't. And these ideas of setting up innovation zones across the world have happened, and they failed examples. I mean, you either have a technology company that's coming up with an idea, and they put it in, and then they leave. They can't find Barcelona, an example. Cisco putting as much money as in Barcelona, and now they're in a situation they can't fund what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Or you have jurisdictions like Stafford County who say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take this mall. We don't know what to do with it. We're going to call it an innovation zone, and we're going to put a sign up, and we're going to do it. But this is, I think, really attractive about this is that this is groups that have come together and are working together to bring their knowledge, their background, to be able to create an environment and a learning laboratory where we can learn from. And so the government can transform from being boots on the ground. And that's what this is. These tasks that we're talking about that are going into emergency management, really boots on the ground. We do that today. We have policemen who walk the streets. They see traffic movement. They report back. We have citizens calling in and reporting issues. And what we're doing is we're trying to automate that so that we have really an artificial intelligent approach to this, where we're saying we're seeing a pattern of behavior that is different. But what it comes down is it's a human decision what to do next, and that human decision is made at the ECC to watch. We have what we call a watch desk at the Emergency Communications Office, and what that does, it dispatches necessary police, fire, and sheriff, traffic control to be able to address issues. And you should know that, you know, I'm the biggest proponent about Connect Arlington. This is not built on Connect Arlington. This is built on a Comcast infrastructure. And that's because Comcast came forward with us, Doug Guthrie out of Comcast Corporate, and he said, we want to work with you guys to develop a partnership that's not only just for Clarendon, but something that could be scaled for all of Arlington. It could be scaled for the entire country. And too often, I think what we have is, I'll stop talking after this, is we have this uneven innovation. You know, if you've got the money, you want to put something up, you do it. And so you go down in DC, you have a block in DC that's got technology. Meanwhile, the rest of DC is rotting because it doesn't have the capabilities that they need. If this is successful, this is a force multiplier in terms of our ability to provide the same services we're doing in Clarendon on Columbia Pike, or to put it in areas that maybe need that type of attention. So I think this is this could be the beginning of a model that could be applied elsewhere. That's why US Ignite's here. They have 27 gigabit cities. We're one of them, counties or cities, and they want to use this as a learning laboratory that we might apply elsewhere.
37.
37, sorry.
37. That's it.
And that really, Phil, I'll jump to your question and then we'll come back, David, to yours. And then John, I think you had a question. Phil, that kind of segues into your question about peer cities. Did you want to ask it? We can't hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there peer cities that we know about that have large implementations of this technology or this model? And are we in contact with them, and do we know what their experience has been?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We have US Ignite is connected with them. There's a number of things which we did not put in the presentation because of the length of them. They stretch from across the country, from Portland to San Antonio to other places. I know
Chattanooga
Chattanooga
to Marietta, Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the Comcast folks on the phone. I mean, they could talk about some of the things. I don't know if they want to, but yeah, no, we're in contact. Some of them have done things differently. What's amazing to Comcast and to others is that we've really taken the time to walk through defining the business reasons for doing this before we go do it. And I think they're very attracted to that approach, and that's why they think this is. Kevin, I don't know if you want to say anything from the Comcast perspective, but I think this is a worthy attempt. And we're talking about a year project where first 3 months of configuration and setup, and then we're gonna have to go through a process of ideation. What's possible? What do we need to do next? But that's why we're putting this governance group together. We want to make sure that it's not only the good old boys that are on this group, but it's that the community's involved. And that's why we'll be looking for a representative from ITAC and EPAC probably to be participating in this. Kevin, do you want to say anything? I don't know. I know Doug told me you guys have been briefed.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty excited about the pilot here, and with the understanding that this is just a pilot here too. There's really no risk on the county side. I mean, it's a 12-month deal, and they're going to study the implementation of this, study what they gain from this, and decide whether they want to expand it or not. So, I mean, from the county's perspective, I don't see much in the way of risk. It's really all upside, really. I know we've partnered with a number of cities. I think there's one down in Charleston they're working on now, and other places around the country that Jack just mentioned. But they're kind of in the early stages, and pretty excited to see Arlington move forward with this.
And then David asked if there's going to be civic association. Holly, will there be somebody from the Clarendon Civic Association on the privacy impact committee?
At this point, no.
Okay.
Well, we've briefed them. I think what you should know, we've briefed them, and you've briefed all the associations as well, Carly, right?
Can I follow up with my question? I want to talk more about the data privacy oversight panel. Is this panel going to have? I get that they don't have the capacity to, or they'll have the capacity before or during the pilot. Have you thought about making a data privacy oversight panel a permanent element? Because if you're going to do stuff like this and build in privacy by design, I'm hearing that you guys have done this for a year, but the panel's not even composed yet. Hasn't looked at it, hasn't been evaluated. There's not going to be a citizen rep on it. So
it's a work in progress, David. The way we started, I don't make the decisions for the county manager. And if that's something that they come up with and they say that we need to do this, that's fine. But we're, as Holly has said, we're doing a razor thin focus in terms of this particular area where we define the requirements and we know where we have where we want to start the process.
So privacy by design implies that it's built in during the design phase. And so a data privacy oversight panel should be contributing during the design phase. And what I'm hearing is the design has been going on for a year.
I would not, I mean, there's been a lot of discussion around the planning piece of it. I think we were waiting for the board approval of funds and now the work will be starting.
Right, and I got to point out that that's not the case, David. You're misspeaking in this. We've got the folks the folks from USA Ignite have been looking at this for a long while. The guy, Luis Da Silva, is the leading expert on cybersecurity, IoT, data privacy in the country, if not the world. He's been contributing to this. Comcast, Doug Guthrie, will talk to you about the facts of what they've been doing. So
I
this
guess
has not been.
I think it's super important for citizen voices, given that they're the taxpayers, they're the people going to be implicated. I totally hear you. I have no complaint about your business process. I don't want to be like a negative Nancy on this. I think this is great, actually. I support a lot of this, but I also don't want to sort of just say, great, you've done a business case, this is awesome. Like, there is real need for citizen input, even if it's not necessarily as expert.
We recognize that, but you're asking for an organizational change that creates a panel for the entire county. We're focusing on this particular effort.
That is a best practice at other peer cities and counties across the nation.
And in the world.
And San Francisco and places like that. If you want to do best business practices, you got to do best governance practices too.
Yeah, well, I think we are.
Maybe. Anyway.
Well, I'm going to wrap this. I'm assuming that this will, Holly, if I'm looking at timeline, it's March or April.
Yeah, I would say that you're looking at the hardware to be installed probably said late spring sometime. And then in the meantime, as you know, David said, this is where we're going to really start diving into. All right, let's really define the use case. Let's set up that governance structure related to the panel. Let's consider, you know, are we looking at the right level of data metrics and elements? How do we make sure we incorporate it into the process? So we'll be diving into that while they're installing the hardware. There will probably be a little bit of time where, okay, here's what our use cases were here with the hardware inside. Let's kind of test against it to make sure what we expected is returning the results, and let's refine it before we say, okay, now we're ready to actually have this in the learning phase of how does this work and how does this inform what we're doing.
Okay, well, you know, obviously I'm in the interest of, we will loop back. We'll want some more, more information on how this, you know, kind of what the decision frame will be moving forward and how we engage. And I know you've already extended a spot for us. So I'm in the interest of time. I know we're 3 minutes from when we're supposed to end and we got a lot on the list. What I'm going to do is, David, is there anything pressing that you want to make sure we know about before February?
Only briefly, budget it's that fun time of year. It's a budget. We're going through the process right now. Everything's looking kind of flat, I guess is what you would say, given the budget difficulties of the county. So we're going to see what that actually means and go through the process with the county manager. That budget will be out, I believe, the end of February when Mark will finally release that. And we'll see where that goes in terms of new projects and what we're taking on. That's pretty much kind of where we're at with that.
Do you think we'll you think we'll know, because obviously last year we had, as you recall, we had 24 hours to respond, which was not helpful. So we'll figure out how, and we'll loop back with Takas as well to see how we can, you know, because it would help if we had some time to know what the expectation was and what some of the underlying assumptions are so that we can weigh in. So it sounds like you still don't have all the information yourselves, right?
No, we do not. So we'll keep you posted on that date. I remember from last year about that.
Right.
You know, and as soon as last year was difficult because that's how we got it. It came to us. So
no, I know it was
yeah.
Yeah, it was
So we'll see what we can
we
do.
know the cut may be substantial. That's why I want to make sure this team is ready. So let's put that. So you all may hear something before we meet in February because we don't meet until, as you know, the last Wednesday in February.
Mary, if I may suggest, maybe we should draft kind of a statement of priorities in absence of what the budget is for technology spending in the government based on last year's budget, to have it at the ready, and we can circulate that amongst the members in advance to have something
good
in
idea,
our hip
John.
pocket.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, we'll pull out the and dust it off and see where we are. There might be some. I think there are some shifts given COVID, but yeah, good idea. I would like to get the minutes. David, I know I'm sorry we didn't mean to drop you from the list. You are now added. Angela has taken care of it.
Fine. Thank you so much. And one last, I just typed it in, but I'll just read it aloud and then I know we need to move on. I just want to strongly encourage briefing the Civic Federation on this project before it goes live, if not already done. And then 2, I think it would be great for either this commission or for the county to conduct, or for you guys to look at best practices for data governance, kind of like countywide, citywide, worldwide, because I think this is an area that is ripe for peer emulation. And I don't want to come out and say, hey, I dislike this or oppose it. I think that this is promising. I do think that the governance is a really important step, and I would encourage our commission. That's a way where we can be helpful to you guys.
And let me just, we are, so there is a roadshow plan for the civic associations. And then I appreciate the assistance too, because I recognize this is a very touchy topic that we're working on. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think the underlying, of course, and there was another question there about the priorities, Holly, in terms of, you probably saw in the chat, in terms of whether we go with commercial interests or local and digital transformation. So there's this pilot, I think, has brought up a lot of things in terms of what's most important. Martha, you have a quick question, or was that an old hand? You're muted, Martha.
Okay, I'm not anymore. Holly, David was asking for the Civic Federation, not.
Oh, so I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Yeah.
Yeah, just want to make sure you knew that.
Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Martha, for the clarification. Okay, any other shifts for the meeting minutes? We know any changes? Anything else? Frank, anything else that you saw?
No, I provided my edits, so the version that was circulated included my edits, and it looked good. So I move that readopt.
I second.
Okay, Phil seconds. Frank moved. All in favor? Aye.
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 Abstentions?
Aye.
Negative? Is there any nays out there? All right, we have an adoption. And again, Angela, thank you so much for doing this. I know that you listened to the tape and you put it on. And when I read it, I was reminded that I hadn't sent you all some articles that I'd promised during holiday. Never promise anything during holiday. You completely forget. So I will make sure, as I looked at that, I thought, oh, I didn't get that to you all, so I will. I will circulate around the commission report. I'm going to move right to you, Frank, in the interest of time, because we're already past.
All right, I will try to keep it fast. Actually, there is good news. The COVID relief legislation that was adopted at the end of the last Congress, at the end of last year, $7 billion was included for broadband affordability and accessibility, including $98 million to create a national broadband map, $3.2 billion for emergency broadband connectivity, and also $250 million for the FCC's COVID-19 telehealth program. So some good news. actually, they're at one of the items which directs the FCC to gives them 60 days to implement a project on affordability, and it includes $50 per month discount for each unserved person who can't afford. It's basically a subsidized broadband for unconnected people, and this goes a long way on the affordability, and the FCC is taking comments on that already. In addition, back to one of our favorite topics, robocalls and caller abuse. Pursuant to the Trace Act, the FCC is now imposing a 3 call per month per residential phone line robocall limit, which I don't know. Callers must also be able to opt out of this, but basically it directs the carriers to basically impose these limits, and these would be calls from commercial, non-commercial, nonprofit organizations. And second FCC order requires terminating voice service providers such as Verizon, AT&T, and Comcast to take affirmative steps to stop illegal calls when they are notified. And the new blocking tools are being added, and it assumes that consumers are going to need to opt in, including network-based blocking. Phone companies will need to immediately notify callers when calls are blocked. Speaking of smart cities, Cisco Systems has actually stopped sales and support for its smart city software services program. Google had earlier pulled back on its smart city plans in Toronto. So even though we're going forward with some smart city elements, there is, I think, a lot of flux in the marketplace from providers. The NTIA, the National Telecommunications Information Administration, has launched a digital inclusion webpage, information clearinghouse for federal and state digital inclusion resources. An update on my report from last month on the FCC. As predicted, the FCC has a 2-2 split, Democrats and Republicans, and Jessica Rosenworcel has been named the interim chair until, we won't be at full strength, the 5 commissioners, until the president appoints and the Senate confirms a person. And it's not clear who, it's possible Jessica could become the permanent chair, but there is a vacancy to be filled. And given the new unity agenda there, wouldn't, actually, I think getting the cabinet confirmed is a much higher priority at this point. Let's see, and back to robocalls and illegal calls. The FCC imposed earlier this month imposed a $9.2 million forfeiture on a robocaller using caller ID spoofing to send threatening and xenophobic messages while attacking attacking a series of people, including jurors, journalists, and political candidates. So the FCC hitting the bad guys with some hefty fines. Anyhow, that's all I've got to report.
Hey, Mary.
That's a lot. Hi, Martha.
I have something to say about this too, and I'll just write up a couple of reports and send it in. But I finally got mine to work.
Did you?
Yeah, I had to call Verizon. They gave me a number to call, but it wasn't the first one that I was given. So it sounds like we've got some new tools that they're going to make available. But in the interim, I have something that mostly works. I am only getting two scamming calls a day now, not like 6 or 8.
Wow. And I know Louise had passed it on. Louise, do you want to just briefly, when Martha had raised that question about Robo, do you want to briefly answer?
The only resources that I have were what are on the Verizon website, and there's a special there's several pages about spam for both FiOS digital voice and landlines, and for cell phones, the different tools. And there's a special NOMO Robo help desk page specifically for Verizon customers. So again,
And
I just found that online.
Page,
So
that page really was not the best thing to use because I kept trying to get it to work. You know, digital voice is different from landline. And that's one of the things that's not so obvious. But I only have a few sentences to say about the whole thing, especially if they're going to redo something better.
Okay, great. Jack, did you have a question?
Yeah, I think this is going to become a real issue, Frank, and I know you guys, I know the FCC is looking at this, but the way we're going to be scheduling vaccinations is going to require calls to take place. Those calls will not always be answered, and we're going to find they're going to get scammed. I was talking to some of my colleagues in Florida, and they were telling me that heavy scamming taking place where people call up and say, they grab the number, they call and say, hey, we're from the Manatee County Public Health Department. We're trying to schedule your appointment. Just want to remind you that the appointment's taking place on next week, as you know. And by the way, to make this happen, we need your social security number.
Ooh.
And we need your credit card because there's a fee associated with this. And so this is going to become a big issue coming forward because we have to mobilize to get people to get vaccinated. And as you know, what happened this last week, the governor changed the rules in terms of who was getting the vaccines. And Virginia Hospital Center set up almost 3,000 appointments, actually 12,000, but they were for everybody and anybody.
And they canceled 10, right?
Exactly. And so it was designed so that you just couldn't walk in there and get it. You had to go through a age qualification, eligibility, that type of thing. So we're really concerned from a county perspective. And actually, Louise, I think one thing we're concerned about from a Verizon perspective is that, companies like Verizon work in a normal manner. So you see a lot of phone calls coming out. You begin to wonder whether or not there's somebody trying to spam the system. And so what they're finding that's happening in Florida is that Verizon and others are slowing down. They're blocking the calls because they think this is some sort of spam. And what this actually is health workers trying to call people. So I think this issue is going to become a big issue in the next few months because we got to get the vaccines out.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, a lot going on, right?
Yeah.
And Frank, I also want to know when we think some of the billions are going to start coming down to the county, right? And broadband and all those things, and the $50 underwrite and.
Yeah, and I think that will actually go to the Comcast and Verizons of the world when they're providing that service. And like I said, they need to have the FCC implemented, I think, by February or March. So there's a real short turnaround as far as implementing the program. And I'm not sure how. I mean, they're going to adopt FCC will adopt the rules and put them in place. So.
Any word, Frank, on who might be the chair? Do you know?
I still think there's a good chance Jessica Rosenworcel will wind up, but Mignon Clyburn, who's on the steering committee, if I think if she wants it, there'd be a strong case for making her the chair.
All right. So Jack, one of the things we could do on our ITAC website is just warn people about.
Please.
Don't give your social security number to some caller. I mean, we could say that. Make sure we have that in our minutes.
What we're implementing we're going to be implementing in the county in the next few weeks is a omni-channel contact center, cloud-based. The idea of omni-channel is that normal call centers accept voice, but they don't accept text or they don't accept chat, that type of thing. And so what we're trying to do is implement that as fast as we can. I know the state is thinking of the same thing. But yeah, it's all about communication. It's making sure we get the communication. And the ITAC can really help us with that, especially when you're dealing with a population of 75 and over, or 65 and over, or 16 to 64 who've got the health conditions. It's, they may not be the best equipped to understand the technology, and anything we can do to provide that guidance will be helpful.
Jack, are you looking at a cloud native solution for that?
Yep. Looking
Okay,
at a company called Twilio to stand that up. But the real devil in the whole thing is the process behind that. You know, it's they call you, you schedule, you get your first appointment, do you get your second appointment, how soon, making sure people can get processed. So yeah, because our phone system, John, won't handle thousands of calls. This is the problem. That's where we need your help, ITAC, in terms of funding. You can't roll in a combustible engine car where we have to go hybrid. So
well, I heard a media report on NPR tonight that Arlington was awarded several $1 million from the Federal Emergency Management Agency for COVID response. So hopefully that will help with funding.
Yeah, I think
that's what we're doing.
Is that the 2.2 million for vaccinations?
Yeah, the 2 million.
Yep.
And the county does have regular COVID-19 emails that are going out, note updates, and so that might be a place to put put messaging on the phone issue in there as well.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm getting that. I don't know how many other people, but
could it also be on the TV channels, kind of like a
Yep.
commercial and
a PSA, Denise? Yeah, good idea.
Yes, and I had another question. Interesting. You made me think of it. Oh, if we could post also in the civic newsletter.
Ah, yes.
Yep.
Yes, the civic associations. Good idea.
Yep.
Good idea. Okay. All right. Well, I will entertain adjournment. Thanks for your patience, you all. We don't like to go over, but tonight was a action-packed and important thing. So thank you for hanging in there with us. I know I've kept you 15 minutes longer.
Oh, be safe, everybody.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Denise.
One question I have for Holly.
Okay. Okay, get to Holly. So you're adjourning the meeting, and anyone want a second? And somehow you're getting to. Do you have her email so you can ask her the question? I'll send Denise. I'll send you and Holly so you can connect.
No, I have it.
Okay, good. All right. Second, there's a move to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Thank you. Frank seconds.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
Aye.
No? Looks
Good
like
night
we're
all.
Woo! Good night to all. See
Yes,
you
good
soon,
night
but you'll
all.
hear from us before the end of February. Thanks again, Angela.
Be
Take
safe,
care,
everybody.
everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Stay
everything.
safe. Bye.
Bye.